But let's get into this right away because I don't want to hold off much longer. Y'all, we got Cape Town Sevens as our number one subject. And of course, it's obviously we try and be a little bit more USA focused with this one. But this one was again another toughie. Shout out Argentina, Australia, absolutely topping this. We'll get this done right out the way. Australia is an absolute monster this year. Absolute monster. 2-0, absolutely dominating factor. And Argentina, they're 1-0 in this so far. Obviously, they lost against Fiji in the last round, but hey, coming into this one, Argentina said, hey, we're not taking any victims, all right? We're not taking any victims. We're murdering through, and they ended up doing it, being able to get on top and be able to win this one. Argentina is definitely a dark horse for Olympic gold for next year. I think they saw Fiji do it twice and said, we need to get us some. But this isn't just about Argentina and them. This ain't just about Argentina and them. This is about what's going on. Let's start off with the women's side because that's the side that personally I think has the most hope from the USA end. So going into this, I just want to put it out because I want to lead us into this properly. All right, we had Australia, New Zealand, France, Canada, Fiji, Ireland, and USA at 7 coming out of Dubai. Now, I said on the last one for the USA, I was very disappointed with the way that they played. It felt like they weren't sinking. They weren't living up to the talent that I truly believe that they were able to do. And of course, on top of that, they weren't gelling in on this one. But hey, this is what I appreciate about a team that knows how to adjust when it matters most because these women brought it again. We had the same roster from Dubai, Eliana Marr, Elena Olsen, Sammy Sullivan, Kayla Canet, Alex Cedric, Nia Tapper captaining, Nicole Haverland, Shetta Emba, Ariana Ramsey, Aleph Kelter, Lauren Doyle, and Jazz Gray. So we had our same crew. This is what I consider is a gold level crew. They got the speed, they got the burst, they got the experience. This might be one of the oldest teams in the 7 series right now, but I do believe that they are absolutely capable of getting a top 1 or 2 finish for the Olympics going into next year. And this is what this is all about. So for me, it was all about, how are we going to be starting off strong? Dubai, coming in 7th, and just a big failure mark early on in pool play was just disappointing. 1 win in pool play, you can't do that, all right? But we came with it. USA had a actually fairly tough pool in Pool C. They were taking on France, Canada, and South Africa. Now, before you guys say anything, oh man, South Africa has definitely improved since the pandemic. Like that is a program in terms of the women's program that has improved steadily since 2021. Prior to the pandemic, absolutely, we're trying to get the pieces back together. Very similar to Fiji. They're not there yet. I'm not saying they're contenders or anything like that, but I'm saying they're not anything to be, sniffed on. All right, you can't just pass them to the side. But the USA, I had predicted that France was probably going to end up being the biggest rival and the biggest difficulty because that is a team. Look, if you guys have seen Sifa, not Safa and Daya, Sophia Donny, who is a from athletes, absolutely gazelle of a runner, absolutely dominant. She's a World Rugby Player of the Year. She's been at this. France is one of the toughest teams to be able to play right now. I felt USA was going to be able to match well against Canada because typically we always have a back and forth against Canada. They win, we win, intercontinental rivalries. What can we say? And then South Africa, I figured they might be a little bit tough, but I had no expectations for them to actually, really suffer from it. And I think the predictions out of pool play were fairly correctly. In the other pools, we had Australia, Fiji, Japan, and Spain for Pool A. And then for Pool B, we had New Zealand, Great Britain, Ireland, and Brazil. Okay. And so, again, we're running a fairly different gamut. It's not as obvious. I think Pool B is particularly difficult. New Zealand, Great Britain, and Ireland are 3 teams that have been able to grow and increase with time. Australia, Fiji, are definitely, top notch right there. Japan and Spain trying to find their way through it. I'm going to answer questions in a moment, but I'm going to get to it once we get to it. So Cameron Poirier, I'm going to get to you, brother. I'm going to get to you. All right. So looking into this Cape Town Sevens, USA 2-1 in it, beating Canada first up, 21-14, the way it's supposed to. You got to start out strong. Canada is also an experienced team, top 14 typically, but I'm glad that USA started off strong. France absolutely got mollywopped, and I think this one exposed a little of the problems that we had going forward. We obviously then took it back against South Africa, beating them 34-0. We lost to France 31-0. Then we went up against Great Britain and took them out in the quarterfinals, 19-12. And then we lost in a mollywhopping against Australia, 33-5 in the semifinals to ultimately take on New Zealand in the third place match, losing to New Zealand 19-7 for the bronze, finishing fourth for the women. I will take the positive. We improved. Better fourth than seventh. Needed the points. Needed to show that we had the gustos. We still have some of those same problems that we had before, but it was at least something that we can hang our hats on. Now, one thing that I saw from this, and this is the positive. Let me look at the positive first. The women looked like they were back in sync with each other. Looked like they were finally getting their rhythm. I know it's a second one, so sometimes it takes a moment, especially whenever you have so time. But of course, they also play year round, or at least have training year round. So the synchronization is iffy. We're still looking at that. Again, we have the roster, but I think we're trying to find those moments. I think Ariana Ramsey, Sammy Sullivan are looking like they're going to be our version of Perry Baker and Carlin Isle in this moment. So I think that one adds a little factor into what we can do off the edges. Of course, Naya absolutely dominating down the middle. Elef Kelter dominating down the middle. And of course, we keep it strong with our forward. So I'm like what we have. The negatives that I found was that we are still missing tackles. I don't know why we are letting so many breakaways go through. We held this New Zealand team that's very, very tough, still very, very talented. Michaela Blyde getting 200 tries. Only person who has more tries than her is her teammate, Portia Woodman with Cliffy, with 233 tries from at least the last time I looked at it. So I'm not going to be completely thrown off of everything that we're doing, but we still have those things where we need to beat these big teams to be able to get that Olympic gold. And that has to be solved by closing up those middles and not allowing those major breakaways. If they're going to get a score, make them earn it and wear them out so that we can get it later on. And then, like I said, I think ball movement has actually improved since Dubai Sevens. Again, this is a team that is very experienced. They understand each other for the most part. So many veterans. It's a power team when it needs to be. It's a finesse team when it needs to be. We just need them to be at the time consistently against these big teams. Losing to Australia, dominated by Australia twice, not a good sign. Dominated by France twice, not a good sign. But again, a close one against New Zealand. I would prefer us to do better and have a better start. New Zealand really kicked it off early. And then USA versus what we're doing with Great Britain, we need to watch them because they are steadily increasing and getting their synchronization. It's a talented team. They dominated us in 2021 during the Olympics. They can dominate us again by 2024 for the Olympics as they get their legs underneath them. So I think it's something to really be able to pay attention to. Women standing, obviously USA moved up a spot from 7 to 6. Australia staying at number 1, France staying at number 1, New Zealand moving up to number 3, Fiji dropping, Canada still just above us, dropping down 1 to number 5, Ireland dropping 2 down to 7, Brazil at 8. Yo, let's go. Another team that you guys need to watch for. Great Britain at 9, Japan at 10, South Africa at 11, Spain at 12. To top it off for the HSBC for this one. Next one's not happening until Perth, so we still got a little bit of time to be able to get ourselves back together,
I ain't convinced. Black of the tents.